Hello, everyone. I'll let you get your translation device in your ear if you might happen to need it. I'm very happy to be with all of you today. And if you are a certified Great Place to Work, congratulations for being certified and for creating a great experience for all of your employees. And if you are one of our list companies, meaning we'll be celebrating you tonight, know that you were one of the greatest companies on earth. So congratulations, and we look forward to the celebration tonight. At Great Place to Work, we collect a lot of research because we survey over 23 million people every year in over 170 countries, and we survey 23,000 companies. And what that tells us is what's going on for working people in every industry, in every country on earth. Companies like Goldman Sachs, stock exchanges all around the world look at our data, and I want to talk about why they look at our data. Why do they want to know who makes our list and who doesn't make our list? I want to try and make that point clear for all of you. And this is something that I want to talk about, and I know Carlos, our CEO from Argentina, will be talking about this a little bit later today, but we call this the Great Place to Work effect. And this is our explanation for why it's good business, and it's good for your people, and it's good for society when companies are a great place to work for all. And the way that we look at this graphic is really thinking about a body of water, and you drop a stone in that water. That's the black dot, and that's the leader. Because when you drop a stone in a body of water, it creates a ripple. The water is never the same. That's how powerful a leader is. A leader can make things great for people or the opposite. Leaders are very, very important. And in our research, what we have found out is there are certain behaviors that if leaders practice these behaviors, things get much better for people. And I'll talk about the benefit of that happening. But some of the things that we believe every leader, including myself, I'm a people leader, there are 9 things I'm always trying to work on because I feel like I have to get better every day. I can't stay the same leader. I have to be a leader who's always learning, always developing, and always getting better. And at the top of the list that you see on the screen is listening, because that is the most important behavior. We've done this. We study over 6 million leaders every single year. And what we do is we look at leaders that create great, high-performing businesses, and we've studied why. Listening is number 1, because great leaders know that if you listen, you're able to do your job much better. You're able to let people know that you care about them. And one of the traits of great listeners is they ask a lot of questions, because they're always learning. If you're not asking questions, you can't learn. If you know everything, you don't ask questions. So great leaders are selfless, they are humble, and they ask a lot of questions, and this is what makes them great listeners. Another behavior that makes them great is the way that they speak to people. They speak to people in a way that makes them feel respected, that makes them feel cared for, that makes them feel like they're important, that makes them feel like the organization cannot succeed without them, which is a great feeling. Well, this is what great leaders do. Next thing that great leaders do is they develop people. They want people to grow. In global surveys, we found, particularly over the last couple of years, the number 1 thing that people want in their jobs, it doesn't matter what generation they're a part of, is to grow. They want to do better. They want more for themselves. They want more for their families. So developing people is really, really important. This is something that great leaders do. And sometimes a great leader has to give feedback that's hard to hear. But we believe great leaders give feedback in a way that's compassionate, honest, but you can be tough on the problem, but easy on the person when giving feedback. This is a trait of great leaders. And there are other things like whether you thank people, you recognize people for doing great work, whether when you hire an employee, when they come to work, there's a chair for them, maybe a laptop to let them know that you are planning for them, so you're welcoming them, and so day one they have a great feeling. And the last of these behaviors is care. And a great place to work, we call that the secret weapon. Care. If you look at a great company in good times or bad companies, or bad times, that is resilient, that is agile, you'll find that people feel cared for. This is very important. A lot of people call this well-being. This feeling that the company cares about my physical health, it cares about my mental health, and it cares about my financial health, and the financial health of me and my family. So this is well-being and this is caring. So this is what defines great leaders. And when you have great leaders, they create a great experience for people. So you can see the ripple moving across. Those red dots are employees because they're feeling the effects of this great leader. And the things that we measure at Great Place to Work let us know the kind of experience that people are having. At the top of the list is what we measure all the time and have been doing for 30 years, trust. A word that matters more now than it has ever mattered because of the AI era. Not only are we beginning to measure whether or not you feel like you're trusted as an employee, or whether or not you feel that your leader trusts you, we're about to begin to measure whether you trust your agentic AI bot or not, because they're becoming co-workers in many parts of the world. So trust is really important. Pride is really important. We measure that, whether you feel that you're at a workplace that cares about you and you are proud to be a part of it and to recommend the company to other people and even recommend the company to friends and family. And we measure whether or not you have great teams, because work is done in teams. It's not done by individuals, it's not done by an organization chart, and we call that camaraderie. And then we have the superpower, which we call for all, which is this never-ending piece of work to make sure everybody is having a great experience. Because what our work tells us is that every place is a great place to work for some people. That's not hard. Usually people at the top. The challenge is to make a workplace a great place to work for all people. And this is our work at Great Place to Work. And when you have a great experience, you then create a great culture. And the things that are a part of a great culture is whether or not the organization is collaborative. Do people work together well? Whether or not it's innovative. Whether or not it's agile, it quickly can adapt to change. We know that AI is coming. We don't really know what it means. It makes us a little bit afraid. But is your workplace one that can adjust and adapt when new things occur, or you have to suddenly change direction? Whether or not people feel like they're included, they're needed, whether they belong in the company. Do they have this kind of feeling? And does everyone have this feeling? These are the things that describe culture. And then on the far right of the screen is the part that usually makes CFOs smile if they're not smiling yet. It's the money. It's the impact. It's why people look at our research all around the world, especially financial hedge funds, mutual funds, stock exchanges, all around the world. Look at our list because of the far right-hand side. Financial performance. Because it's been proven year after year for almost 30 years, measured since 1998, that companies that make our list, companies that we say are great, outperform companies who don't. There was an annual study done last year, a collaboration between MIT and Harvard, which analyzed 6,000 companies and showed outsized performance for companies that we say are great. So many of us in this room like to work at a great place to work because it makes us feel good. And we love the feeling of being around people who have a sense of purpose and passion. A group of people who know that if we create a great experience for each other, and if we're all growing, and I care about you and you care about me, then when you get out of the shower in the morning, you're excited about going to work. You shouldn't get out of the shower and need 6 espressos to get ready to go to work. That is not a great place to work. Okay, you should be excited because of the people you're going to see, because of the problems that you're going to solve. And we know at Great Place to Work, when people have that feeling, you get fantastic outsized financial returns. So we call the screen that's in front of you now the Great Place to Work effect. We believe this is the new business as usual. It's proven that it's great for business. We know it's great for people. And we have found, as one of the leaders from DHL says, John Pearson, who is the global CEO of DHL Express, he says, when people are having this experience, when they go home at the end of the workday, they're better people than they were when they left to go to work. That's the power of this experience. So it makes us better partners at home. It makes us better neighbors. It makes our communities better. So this is what we want. And we don't want this for some companies. We want this for all companies. And I want to spend a moment to talk about the change that's beginning to affect all of us. Have any of you heard of AI? Okay, I want to ask for a show of hands. So this is happening. It's beginning. Moving at different paces depending on where you are in the world. Some parts of the world where I live, in the western part of the United States, it's moving very, very fast. There is no resistance whatsoever. If you're questioning AI and you live in the western part of the United States, they know you don't live in the western part of the United States. But as you move around the world, things are different in terms of adoption. But I want to talk about this. We became aware of this at Great Place to Work 2 years ago, that something's happening. Something's changing, even though we didn't really understand it. And so what we did is, starting 2 years ago, we started testing certain questions to let us know what was happening and what employees were experiencing with this idea of AI. And so we came up with 12 questions that we wanted to begin to measure. As one of the research leaders in the world on work, we felt we should be out in front of this. And so we've been testing this set of questions, and we feel very good about this set of questions. And so I've got them in front of you. You can take some time to read them. Some of you are taking pictures. Yeah, if you're going to take a picture of a slide, this is one. Okay, and the next one will be another one to take a picture of. Because what these questions do, and I'll just read a few of them for you. The first one says, I'm excited about what artificial intelligence can bring to my work. So we're asking people to let them know whether they're excited or not. I trust my company to use artificial intelligence in a way that treats all groups of people fairly and ethically. My company provides artificial intelligence tools that help me do my job better. Management clearly communicates our plans for using artificial intelligence within our business. I believe artificial intelligence will create new growth opportunities for the company. And that's the company. I believe artificial intelligence will have a positive impact on my career. These are very important questions. So what we're measuring is excitement, fear, trust, confidence in management. Do you feel like that management's going to do everything that it can to make this a good experience for you? Or do you feel like management's going to use AI to replace you? These are very, very important questions, and we're getting some very fascinating results. And what we have found out is everybody's a little afraid of AI. Managers, leaders, working people at all levels, there's fear about AI. There's concerns because people don't really understand it. Our job is to take these results and to give them to companies so they can be aware of where they have a high level of fear and maybe where they have a low level of fear, because that's going to affect the company's ability to implement AI. And here's the final 6 questions. These are a little different, because there's a saying around the world where people are saying, AI is not going to replace you. a person using AI is going to replace you. That's the saying. Have any of you heard that? Okay, a few of you have. So this is getting at that issue, that if it's true that your job's at risk because you might be replaced by a person who's using AI, I want to work for a place that's make sure I'm using AI. So I'm not one to be replaced. I'm really valuable. This set of questions helps us understand the environment. My company encourages me to use artificial intelligence at work. Have you received artificial intelligence training? How often do you use artificial intelligence at work? Which of the following best describes your approach to change in the workplace? And we give a series of scenarios, whether or not some people are getting trained and other people aren't getting trained. You know, if some people are getting trained and you're not getting trained, it doesn't feel so good unless you know training's coming to you too. So these are the kinds of things that we measure to help leaders know what they can do so that people don't fear AI and they're willing to actually try it and as it comes into the workplace. And then we ask, the final question is, what concerns do you have? And the number one concern is that it's going to replace the person answering the survey. So there's a high level of fear in this topic. Depending on where you are in the world, there are different levels of fear. Depending on certain industries where there's a lot of manufacturing and production, there's probably the highest level of fear. In areas like healthcare, there's actually the lowest level. So it kind of makes sense as we think about this. So I want you to know that as your partner at Great Place to Work, we've been working on this for a couple of years, getting prepared to make sure we can guide you and that we can help you. Because we understand completely that the word work is getting redefined. I have a son who works for Great Place to Work, and sometimes I feel like he's taking a little bit too much vacation time. And I have to remind him that it's a great place to work. That work is what we are talking about. And work is certainly important. It matters to all of us. But it's getting redefined. Because there are new tools that are coming in from agentic AI that are affecting the way that we work. Probably the most powerful business tool that's been adopted throughout the world is Excel. And I remember when it was initially adopted, people questioned it. They didn't have confidence in it. There were many people who said you couldn't run a company using Excel. Just think about if you didn't have Excel today. We believe Excel. We fully trust Excel. We run our businesses, countries run themselves using Excel. That's how important it is. But I remember the early days of Excel, it would give you bad results, especially when they introduced macros. It wasn't always what it is today, but we fully trust it today. Same thing's going to happen with AI. There's going to be problems with it. How many of you are currently experimenting with AI? I'd like to see a show of hands. Okay, that's very good. And some of you who don't put it, okay, somebody just put their hand up because they're like, I'm going to start today. Okay, good for you. You know, I'm sure next year, all hands will go up. I am confident that that's the case based on what's coming. So we believe this is a great opportunity to bring in new technology, but we'll always be people first. We know that AI without people is bad business, bad for society, bad for people, and so on. We know that these people and AI have to find a way to work together. There will be great examples of success, and there will be failures along the way too, just like there was with Excel. But sooner or later, we'll find a way. We'll always be people first. We always believe that leaders are really, really important. We believe that even if people don't work for you, you're a leader too. Because not only do we need great leaders, we need great teammates. And our job is to get you the information to let you know where you're having great performance in your company and where you could do better. So as the global leader in workplace culture, which is what we are, we're going to stay that by our focus on our work. And I want to end just by congratulating you on being here today, especially the companies that we're celebrating that are on our list. Our lists are very hard to make. They're very hard to make. And it's very hard to make it, and it's very hard to be at the top of the list. Everybody wants to be at the top, but it's very, very hard. I meet CEOs all around the world who will say, I want to be on your list. I say, great. They say, what do I have to do? I said, you have to survey your employees. And they say, is there any other way? Okay, because it's very hard to look at data. Anytime you do a survey, you're going to see things you like and you're going to see things that you don't like. So for the leaders here who are surveying the employees, looking at those results, I just want to thank you for your courage. There's an easier path, which is to pretend your company is great. It's a very different path from knowing it's great because your people say it's great. Thank you very much for listening today.